Fitness.
Hit me!
Show number 340, SQUEEF3ST.
You've got to throw some cold water on the situation. Start talking about dirty stuff.
System activate.
This is Netheads with Will Wilkins. It's a tech podcast. But we are a ton cooler than your typical geek.
You guys rock.
And now, here's Will.
And thank you, everyone. Another edition of Netheads, but a special one where we are not necessarily crashing the stream, but we are joining our good friend, frequent talk to partner, and a guy who's doing something more better, run with it, than we ever do, which is to actually do something meaningful. He's always done wonderful things, always involving the pets of our world, and that is none other than the Dr. Squee, because this is SQUEEF3ST, folks. So here's my wonderful view that you see of him so that I can bring him into this. It's not sexy, it's not glossy, but it works. Squee, what hour are you into to let the people know? And more importantly, let's give them the full details again about how you can donate to the SQUEEF3ST drive to benefit Phoenix rehoming.
First of all, Will, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for the third time to be on SQUEEF3ST. 3 for 3, full points to you. And we are in hour 12, so we are literally halfway at this point through the event. I've had the bit where I kind of like, where I've been nice and awake, then I got a little bit sleepy in the middle. The latest pot of coffee has just kicked in, so I've just got my second wind. It's always the toughest. Here in the UK, it's 2 a.m., and so it's kind of dark out, and that's where you start to feel the kind of 12 hours of talking because the natural lack of natural light. But here's how you donate. You go to drsquee.com. This year we made it really simple. We just redirected my website to the Facebook fundraising page. I have said to people, obviously, if you've got Facebook, please donate through there. If you don't, go straight to phoenixrehoming.co.uk where you can donate directly. Maybe just write a little comment saying SQUEEF3ST so they can let me know. But if not, I don't care, just as long as the money goes to those wonderful dogs. We got our own dog, Benton, from Phoenix. And for those watching on video, here's a picture of Benny with our Dottie as well there in the background. Both rescue dogs, Benny being from Phoenix themselves. And we had a target going in of £500. We were already at like something like 380 something when we started the day, which is just ridiculous. And we're now on £505. So we've beaten the target, but we want to smash the target. We want to rescue as many dogs as we can here.
And I fully support that and fully endorse that because 2 out of my 3 dogs are rescue dogs. Although, and it's funny too, because I don't know what people's perception of rescue dogs are, but they're dogs, folks. In some cases, depending on where they come from, they may require special attention, but other than that, they're just dogs. It's just funny for me though, because mine, the 2 out of 3, they are purebred Samoyeds, not necessarily of the best breeding quality, just meaning that they were kind of in a puppy farm / horde in I can't remember what state here in the United States, but it was not a good scene, and so they came to us. And there is actually the ASPCA, I think, put out a special that was about saving kind of dogs from hoarded or situations like this, and it really is about helping an animal learn to be loved and helping them learn what it means to be a people dog rather than a wild or feral animal practically. And our 2 dogs are the absolute best now. And it's amazing seeing where they've come from and where they are now. So any charity, any group that's helped support rehoming dogs and finding dogs homes is one that I am more than happy to give up my time for. So thank you for the invitation to be able to help out in this manner. I really appreciate it.
Oh no, sir. Thank you. I mean, the generosity of everyone, both with their money, their time, their support of all different types. There have been people doing raffles and selling T-shirts, all sorts of things, and it's been just staggering to me. Benny, our dog, he was rescued. So Phoenix rescue dogs from all around Europe and then bring them here to the UK for their forever homes. A lot of which would go to kill shelters otherwise. Benny himself was found at the side of a road, 4 weeks old. He was destined to either get run over somewhere or to end up in one of these kill shelters. And when he came over to the UK, you say about additional needs for dogs from certain areas. He was from in rural Romania. He gets as gently as possible kind of brought here to the UK, but then he's suddenly in the city of Southampton, where I am now, with kind of lots of cars which he's not used to. This weird magical box which has people trapped in it called the TV. All this stuff which is just his senses just go on overload for, and he had major anxiety. I was joking earlier that it's like, to begin with, I was like, well, we want to be careful. We don't want to medicate away his personality or anything like that. After a week of him just going nuts and eating our sofa, we're just going like, is there any experimental drugs you want to give him? Anything you want? Like, that's fine. We're good. Like, I joke about it, but it's like,
how hard is it to get
really
CBD oil in the UK? You know?
yeah, we do now. I mean, honestly, I joke about this, but genuinely, I say this to illustrate that it can be really tough to begin with. And when you're dealing with a puppy, it just usually is, but especially if they've got these additional needs. 2 years in, though, he's 2.5 now, and a sweeter, more gentle, more loving dog you couldn't wish for. And it's worth all that effort. And the thing I love about Phoenix is you can get these younger dogs who need that extra help in that way. You can also get older dogs who've never really had a fair chance, and they just need a stable home. They're oven ready. Apart from that, they're already trained, they're already ready to go. And for some people, it suits their lifestyle better to have an older dog. And they've got that breadth of different dogs which they're helping out. And I couldn't say enough wonderful things. They never have a surplus of money. And then during lockdown, when people return dogs because they rescued them without realizing the responsibility and realizing that after lockdown ends, they still have to be able to look after the dog. Having them sent back, it's a wonder this charity didn't go under. So I can't say enough good stuff about them.
Excellent. Yeah, it's ours came through the San Francisco Samoyed Rescue. So I think it's Samoyed Rescue of San Francisco. I'm not sure which one, but I should because we're members. It was a very interesting experience and a very humbling one, especially when you are accustomed to dogs that have been raised in a household as puppies. And like Rika, the male was, they said 2 years old, but all of their ages were guesses based on dental state. So I think the way it happened is Rika was actually younger than they suspected. I think he was around 1 year because he did some growing and some filling out. And then our female, Yuki, they estimated she's at 3 years. And they're still very, very jumpy, but they're also very, very wonderful and loving dogs. And last year during lockdown, we actually, my family, I don't want to say conned me, but they wanted another little dog. We had a dachshund that we unfortunately lost, I think, in 2019. And so my daughter wanted another wiener dog. And I'm just like, my wife knew that's not going to fly, but your dad has always wanted a corgi, and we just happened to find the right one at the right time with the right breeder, and brought him home. And I often joke about it, but I also think it's true, because one of the big things that they say in a situation where you are bringing in these dogs that require extra love and learning and patience, that it's very helpful for them to have like a helper dog as well already in the house. And in this particular case, I think that the puppy coming in and them seeing that I loved and cared for the puppy and didn't do anything bad to it. I know that sounds odd, but run with me here. Because of that, the male dog, it just suddenly opened up to me on a whole new level. And I joke off actually that we wouldn't have the corgi if Rika had warmed up to me just a little sooner through this. But I think it's like kind of the chicken and the egg. You don't really know which one would have come first. But I've always been a dog lover. Nothing against cats. It's just they're kind of hit or miss personality-wise sometimes, but dogs always seem to be just that wonderful, positive, excited energy that you kind of always want in your life, and they're always there when you need them. So it's great for us to be there when they need us as well. So don't forget, folks, go to it's just the Dr. Squee. Put it up again. Leave it up the whole time, man. Don't drop it at any time. Go to drsquee.com. There we go, folks. Just how it sounds. I like saying that because, honestly speaking, every time I went to go type something about this, I'm like, okay, wait, how do you spell squee again? It should be easy, but there you go. Please.
The only thing I will say, you see, I used like one of the reasons I started using this pseudonym was my real first name Ian is spelled Iain, and I thought Dr. Squee, it's spelled as it sounds, can't go too far wrong. Whereas with my name you can. What I didn't realize is people go, oh, Dr. Squee. It's like, no, it's the full word Doctor. I've done myself again, is what I meant to do.
You can't win for trying, friends. And if you're listening to this after the fact, folks, or catching it on video, it's Dr. Squee spelled out DoctorSquee.com.
SQUEE.
That's what I
Missed
said.
out the U.
I said, oh, I didn't say the U. What do you know? SQUEE.com. You can donate anytime afterwards, and I would appreciate your support. And I'll be throwing a few of my own hard-earned shekels at it right after this. So please do that. Now, Squee, I'm not going to Squee. You're just like, my name is Ian, but that's just
no. I go by Squee. Squee's good.
And by the way, too, good call, because I know and I've seen your name, and it's Ian. But man, I just would never. If I had gun to my head and somebody asked me to spell your first name, I got maybe a 25% chance of survival at that point, because I know many different Ians and spelled so many different ways, and yours I've never seen spelled that way before. But that's me. I'm in the States. Ignore me. I'm sure you've had discussions about this to your heart's content. Let's put it that way. But I find it very, very interesting that the day before this happens, the day before you and I have this conversation, suddenly the news drops that RTD is coming back to Who. I'm sure you've explained it to everyone else, but please, for my own edification, what's your reaction to this news?
Honestly, man, like, yeah, obviously, whenever something like this drops, given that I did a Doctor Who podcast for 300 episodes, you do tend to get a few messages when something like that drops. But I've been so busy sorting out this, I really haven't spoken about it that much. And I was very lucky. Earlier on the event, we actually had Sophie Aldred, Ace herself from Classic Doctor Who on the bill, and we got to talk to her about the wonderful news. To me, it is an astounding time. I mean, you and I have talked a little bit about the fact, just messaging back and forth on Facebook about the fact that maybe some of the stuff in the Chibnall era has not been to our liking, and nothing against Jodie for me, and I believe not for you. But I just don't think some of the storylines just weren't to my taste. That's all I'll say. I'm not out to hate.
The best thing that I can say about the Chibnall area is that it always has a lot of notable and enjoyable quirky moments. It has a lot of notable and enjoyable things, but you can't really string together a coherent story just with quirkiness and interesting. But that's just me. Again, I don't get to make Doctor Who, so I'm not going to really say anything negative other than maybe it wasn't to my liking, but it's still, at least it's some Who. When it comes to hearing that Russell T Davies is coming back, I think back to my experience with the reinvention of Doctor Who, the reintroduction, the reboot. And, I was not taking this in a timely fashion. I crammed all of the previous Doctors in from the new era right before Matt Smith came on as 11. And so for me, I actually just think of the RTD era as this one gigantic, interesting story with its little stages. And, honestly speaking, it was a very good era to be a fan, and look what it hyped up and ramped up. So, and the other thing that I've heard from others is just how much of pardon me, let me rephrase, just how much he has improved upon himself in his years since becoming a better writer, becoming a better showrunner and storyteller. So that makes me even more excited.
I mean, my take on it is this. When Doctor Who came back in 2005, I've been a Doctor Who fan all my life. I've grown up with the show. Some people have joked that, like, in the UK, you grow up knowing what a Dalek is on instinct without even having to see it on Doctor Who. That's the kind of, like, world in which I was born into. And I love the show. And when it came back in 2005, even the things I didn't love about it, I kind of loved. So, like, they made it a bit more populist. They made it a bit more like, they brought in some soap opera elements to have that relatable human touch, which maybe was missing a bit more in the original run of the show. You never really got into the emotional dynamics maybe of people outside, like, you know, what's it like for their family when they're off traveling in time and space. Some of those elements for me are like better than others. However, I saw what that did to the show, how popular it made it, how many more people it reached than if you just did a really intricate time travel story, which, as much as I'm always there for that all day long, that's going to lose some people. And already I'm hearing an outpouring of so many people going, right, I haven't watched it for now, like, or, you know, after the last season, I was done. Like, I wasn't going to watch it again, or I didn't watch the last series because I didn't like this particular iteration. I think the amount of people that RTD, both Doctor Who fans traditionally and people who will rediscover the show through him because they loved It's a Sin, for instance, his recent drama, I think it is going to have a massive resurgence in viewing figures. Some people have talked correctly about the fact that viewing habits do change and the fact that now we've got stream, blah, blah, blah. There are so many dynamics which go into why viewing figures would be down. Even so, though, it has sunk in a way that there's a certain chunk of the viewing figures you can't explain away by saying the +7 viewing figures or streaming. There is some people have turned away from the show, and I think we'll be able to measure that, particularly when RTD comes back. And I think, again, he does bring people to the show who wouldn't usually watch a show like Doctor Who.
The other thing that I'm excited about it is that I think it also represents an ability for us to get a second bite at the apple for some of the things that we may have really enjoyed about the show. Because throughout his era, I feel like there was a much more diverse writer's room, meaning like you can still get a chance to have a Moffat story get told in the RTD area because he wrote stories. We have the potential again for having Gaiman maybe coming back, even though he seems to be busy executive producing a bunch of stuff now. But it's an opportunity to where I think a lot of people will come back to the table that in one way, shape, or form that you know they may not have in the current iteration. Because I don't. And by diverse, I just mean other writers. I don't mean like the actual diversity of the writer's room. But like for me, I'm excited about that too, because it means we might still get like a Moffat storyline, because that is one of the things that stood out for me the most. And part of what excited me going into the Matt Smith era was finding out that Moffat was running it after having seen like The Girl in the Fireplace and is it Blink? Just Blink, right?
Yeah, Blink and the Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. He did that too.
Oh yeah, from season 1. Great episodes, and you know it's great story. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's just the type of thing that, you know, even though it might be a little stunty given everything that's going on, I think it's also just the right kind of stunting that we need right now. Because like you said, there has been chatter that maybe things have not necessarily gone to plan, or that, you know, as some people have just like, this, it's not my cup, and they move on, which is fine. But I think this will also bring people back. All I know is it felt like, well, let me put it this way. I live in America. We've made that clear. It has been in the past that I have seen, like when my daughter was in elementary school, I saw kids dressed up as Matt Smith's doctor, okay, in America. So that just goes to show that the show itself has a strength to it that is international, and that it has something that can draw all different kinds in. As a matter of fact, the Matt Smith era was the one that I watched with my daughter before, she entered into her teens and thought I wasn't cool anymore. And so I got a lot of fond memories of that era, and everything leading up to that. There was a very big zeitgeist all around for it, and that's kind of where I want to see it get back to. I feel like somehow near the end of the Moffat and the beginning of the Chibnall area, just something, I don't want to say it got lost, but I don't know. It seemed like a certain synergy died down. And so I'm excited about this new news. Very excited.
I mean, to me, the thing I've kind of said about the Jodie Whittaker era, like for whatever other plot problems I might have with it, my thing is that even though you had the first female Doctor, it seems they were writing more towards Graham as the lead than the Doctor. And it's that thing of there's this joke which Bill Bailey tells, which Bill Bailey's a British comedian, and it's about three women walk into a bar. The first woman goes, "I'll have a pint." Being confident modern woman, I'm not afraid to drink a pint in a bar like the men do. Second one goes up and goes, "Hey, look at the bum on that bloke." Given that I'm a modern, 21st century woman, I can admire the male form and not be worried about being called any nasty names. Third woman goes in, lifts up top, going, "Hey, look at my boobs." And the first one goes, "Oh, crap, we're never going to escape the fact that it's a bloke telling this joke." And I feel a bit the same about a male showrunner writing for a female Doctor. Now, I think actually RTD probably could do that a bit more deftly. However, I think the problem is Chibnall is still not quite getting, you've got to write for the female Doctor. That's still the lead. It's not the male lead. It's the lead of the show is the Doctor. It always has to be the Doctor. And that's, I feel like, what he's kind of missed with it, to be frank.
Well, I would agree. Not that I meant for this to be a big Doctor Who dissection, but I think the other thing, too, that I kind of... Well, each Doctor is a little bit different. However, when you get into both Tennant's Doctor and Matt Smith's Doctor, I feel like there was a definite energy that those two had, and a certain something in their performance that always made it seem like they've mostly figured out what's going on, and they are just trying to see how it plays out and let give the villain a chance at redemption before dropping the hammer. And I really kind of felt like more of what was going on with Capaldi and then with Whittaker. The Doctor didn't seem to always be that one step ahead. Although in Capaldi's area, I didn't mind as much. I just felt like there's something in the Whittaker area where the Doctor just wasn't being the Doctor. And it wasn't because it was a female, because I agree with Whittaker's breakdown. It's, the Doctor is an alien, so male, female, doesn't matter. It's the Doctor. That's it. So that said, I'm just... Look, we just got to get through the next year. That's all we got to do. We got to get through 2022 and our specials. And, well, actually, didn't I hear that we were originally supposed to get the new season starting off in the latter part of this year and then going into specials in 2022? Did I miss the mark here?
Yeah, that was what I understood. I didn't hear any solid date, but I believe it's going to be late this year. We're going to start the run of the next series, as you say, then the specials, and then it'll be Russell T Davies going into the 60th anniversary year and beyond. It's also been reported, so it's not just back for 1 year.
Yeah, and there's it's basically 9 episodes and then 3 specials, something along those lines.
Yeah, and plus let's not forget. That's unheard of, by the way. There has never been a showrunner return to Doctor Who. Even like in the old days, it wasn't even called showrunner. It was just the executive producer. What we now term, we get the American term of showrunner over here now, and it's never happened before. I can't think of really many shows where a executive producer's gone away and come back again. Maybe Community.
Thank you. I was just about to say Community. But that wasn't a good situation. By the way, I don't mean to steal your thunder, and I'm going to give you this opportunity to validate it. But according to Amy Liddington, on the Facebook feed and the Facebook chat. There we go. It says you've hit your fundraising target. Is this true? Did this happen during the Netheads slot? What a rip for you.
Oh, no. I said at the beginning of the slot, and thank you very much, Amy, for tuning in. She's in Wales, so I don't know what you're doing up at 2:30 in the morning, but very glad to have you here with your man Craig there. No, we set a target originally of £500, and we smashed that it was 11 hours in, I believe.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Very
good.
It was kind of like it was before. Actually, no, it was before the end of the first stream. We've only had a drip feed of £5 and since, but it was one of those things whereby so many people donated in advance this year. It just blew my mind. We're at over £380 before we began. That's just unheard of. So I was kind of expecting there to be slightly less donations on the night, but please, guys, if you can still afford anything, please send it our way.
Just go to drsquee.com, DOCTORSQUEE.com, and you can donate anytime after this as well. So anything you can do to help Phoenix rehoming, very good cause, and one that now Squee obviously supports, and I obviously support after the fact. Now, Squee, I got to ask you a question. Let's switch gears. We're going to pretend this is an episode of Netheads. It is. But I'm saying we're going to pretend because I feel like I'm on your turf, even though I'm streaming out to our socials as well, just to make sure we get maximum coverage. I feel like I'm crashing your party. But, of course, that isn't going to stop my ego or my voice from continuing. I have to ask, when it comes to your mobile, are you iPhone or are you Android?
I'm Android. I made the switch quite a few years ago now, actually. I used to be iPhone all the way. Once I switched, though, I really never looked back. If nothing else, I found every iPhone, it was getting to be, after a certain generation, the screen would crack if you looked at it too hard. The amount of times I've dropped this puppy and it's still going is just astounding.
Well, I will admit to you that I am not a man... I'm a man of two worlds because I do have, for example, I think this is a Pixel 5a in my hand here, and then over here I've got the iPhone as well. I tried to make the switch, especially when it came to I can't even remember which one it was. I think it was the Nexus 6P. But the Google Fi had been a very attractive package for me when it came to mobile devices. I had been spending a ton of money on cell phone coverage, and Google Fi sounded great. So I attempted to make the switch. What I found, however, is in my business life, it was very impractical for me to maintain consistent communication through this, only because most of the people that I work with are on this. So I have the best of both worlds. So I have to ask you, though.
I've got the iPad here, so
there you go.
I get you.
Okay, good. So you swing both ways as well. Good to know. Good to know.
A little bit.
One of the things that was interesting this week is the 13 came out in iPhone models. Great. I don't care. Each one is obviously going to have a little something. Like there's apparently a new video mode in the new iPhone that also gives you more of the digital single lens DSLR effect. I'm like single lens reflex. I think that's what it is. It gives you more of that effect because it'll do a focus feature, so that way it'll do a little more of kind of that portrait shot, but without it being portrait. They've got optical character recognition now in the camera, so if you're taking a picture of something and it has some notable text on it that you wanted to grab or copy, there's a button you can press. Very cool features, but the funny thing that I always find, because I live in both worlds, is that it really seems like no matter what, other than these advances that the iPhone does in the camera and video area, and in the way of the fact that the entire Apple Podcasts is integrated in the platform, and there's genuinely not really one in Android, even though they do have the Google Podcasts area. I always find that the iPhone world is always trying to catch up with the innovations of the Android world, yet they don't get enough credit. That's the way I always feel about it, because it always seems like Apple gets the iPhone attention and the iPhone notoriety, and it's just like case in point, that text thing I talked about, right? Interesting feature, very interesting. But like in the photo app for Google, if I were at a conference and I wanted to take even though they'll give you the slide decks afterwards, if I wanted to take a picture of the slide deck, there was a bit ability to take the picture, and it would also automatically crop it and improve it for me right there in the app. And now, the text feature I talked about in Apple is coming out, and we're talking about like 2019 versus now. Guys, catch up.
Yep.
But what's your impression?
Well, I feel like for ages, and especially when, let's face it, when Steve Jobs was with us, the iPhone, it didn't just do a new model which had slightly improved camera, as this little extra feature. It was like, no, here's something you never imagined would happen. Like, here is the iPod. Here's now the iPhone. Here's now this new generation of it, which does something incredible else different. And it was always so innovative. And I even remember Steve Jobs saying, it's like, oh, we'll never bother with one of these stupid damn stylus things. He dies, suddenly you get the iPen. And it's just,
I like it. Look, I'm not going to front, brother. Yeah, when it comes to the pencil is an absolute must when it comes to my iPad usage, because honestly, when it came to the iPad, this was more about watching media when I traveled, and then once I integrated the pencil, it is something that allowed me to replace pen and paper for my everyday life and for business and for tracking. I'm not going to front in that respect, although I will say too that there was a brief time where, even though there was not an official Apple one, I found it easier with these beefy thumbs to use like some of those pen styluses. Look, I've got one right here. With the with the little stylus thing on the end of it, and even to this day, sometimes it's a little more accurate and less frustrating for me.
I mean, I'm just saying that it's like, I'm not saying any of these features aren't useful or aren't good in any way. It just feels like at some point they stopped doing these major quantum leaps forward in how it worked, and Android caught way up and started surpassing them, as you've kind of alluded to there. And at some point, it was just like Penn Jillette did this wonderful joke of Penn and Teller fame about he brought this new iPhone and he was talking to a fellow magician, Piff the Magic Dragon, and he goes, so basically, really, when you're talking about the new iPhone that you've just got, with all the little improvements or whatever, you really just bought this because it can make you look like a unicorn, didn't you? He goes, yeah, that really is why I bought it. That's the only reason. And I sort of feel like it just gets a bit embarrassing after a while that this company which used to innovate, they used to change the game with every new iteration. Now it's like playing catch up with Android, maybe getting little improvements that Android don't have yet sometimes. But it used to be the only thing that Android had over them was it was a bit more adaptable. You could write stuff to it a bit easier, whereas Apple was always a closed shop. Like whatever they want you to have on there is what you'd have on there. And I feel like it just isn't that game changer anymore. It used to be. The iPhone isn't the iPhone. There's nothing like it. Yeah, and Android's a lot like it.
Well, and the other thing too, we keep referring to it as iPhone and Android, but let's face reality. We are literally comparing apples and oranges, because Android is an operating system, whereas iPhone is an actual model. So, this is an iPhone device. Yes, it's running iOS, but iOS is the software. By the way, on the new one, where even though they have like the 3 cameras still, the cameras are bigger, but sticks out even more than it does like on this one. Great innovation there, guys. No, lying.
4 cameras, and this is, if we want to go brand, this is the Samsung Galaxy.
Right.
And I found them the innovators now. I really find they're the ones who always come up with something interesting and snacky.
I don't know. I never realized because not to sound snootish, but I've always kind of had at least a semi-decent quality when it comes to the Android that I have. I've got the Nexus 6P is buried in here, and then the Pixel 3 XL, I think it is, 3A XL, the less expensive version, right? Because all of these models, and yours as well, the Samsung, have great cameras, but you can also have much lower quality models of phones that run the Android operating system. And I was never aware of this until, of all things, my viewing habits on TikTok. I can tell who is running a low quality Android phone based on the quality of the videos that they're recording. And I never realized that that was the difference. And I think that's the only reason as well that iPhone is kind of able to act prestigious, because they've got hardware control from end to end. So, you're always going to get the same type of picture quality on an iPhone. By the way, since we both kind of take in the same type of media, I don't know if you were aware of this, and I don't mean to spoil anything for people when they're watching their entertainment, but were you aware of the iPhone entertainment clause for iPhones and Apple products that are used in TV and film?
No, please.
Apparently, Apple will not allow their products to be used by the bad guys. So, like in the world of Marvel, we received this new character in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I can't remember her name; it's so long, but played by Julie Louis-Dreyfus. And people are trying to decide, is she good or is she evil? And I noted, well, she uses an iPhone, so I don't think she's evil. We'll let it play out. But it's true. If you see it now, if you go back and look, like in any entertainment, if they're using iPhones, and other people will have Androids if they're the bad guy. It's the nuttiest thing. But, I guess if you want, maybe they're a little more cognizant of brand awareness than we are.
Maybe, but it just seems really, really dumb, quite frankly. I'm very, very careful when I say this, because I'm aware I'm talking to I'm American show and everything, but it seems like the worst of America. In the same way you can get the worst of England and the worst of Britain, it seems the worst part of America. It's like, no, we can never be the bad guys. That kind of side of America, which it's that there's several sides of, as I say, there's several sides of the UK I'm not proud of.
It's funny you mentioned that, because the other thing I've noticed on TikTok is that that low quality video I was talking about seems to thematically go with a part of America I wouldn't necessarily be proud to talk about, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm not saying there's a correlation there, but maybe Apple was onto something. You also want to talk about dumb. I don't know how popular Ted Lasso is over in the UK.
Oh man,
I don't even know when it airs, or if it airs on Apple TV Plus on the same schedule or not.
Apple TV, yeah.
But you want to talk about dumb. I actually noted, they're using iPhones. It's a show produced by Apple TV. Will, what do you think they're going to use? You know what I'm saying? Android doesn't exist in the world of Ted Lasso, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's what I more noticed. I was like, wow, like for obvious reasons, it's Apple TV, but it's like, wow, I have never seen that many people only with exclusively Apple products. This just, it sort of almost took me out of it, because it was so notable. Everything was an Apple product.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where the just real world just isn't like that. It's kind of weird.
So is the show getting the same kind of attention there that it's getting here?
It's getting a good heap of attention over here. I mean, I think obviously where it's a great collaboration between America and the UK, it's shot over here. It's got, I'd say it's not, because Apple TV probably isn't that big over here. But like, anyone's got an Apple product, you get so much free with that. And there's certainly a good awareness of it, but I don't think it's gone quite as mainstream as it might have, like it was on Netflix, for instance.
What's funny is I don't even know if, because it all comes back to Apple, I don't know if I would even be watching Ted Lasso right now. One, because, look, I'm a Doctor Who fan. I don't like watching it on BBC America. Let's just put it that way, okay? But even I've gotten to the point now where I'll acquiesce and watch it after the fact, because I think it's Pluto or something along those lines that I get BBC America through. I can at least watch it commercial free, so it's far less painless. In other words, I'm not going to alternative methods to get my entertainment anymore. I don't know if I would be watching Ted Lasso, but because of my AT&T package, no wait, that's how I get HBO Max. I keep buying Apple products on such a schedule that I've always got Apple TV Plus for free. That's where I'm going with that. So, I don't even know if I'd watch the show if it weren't for having the devices. And I think I just recently saw in the news as well that Apple TV admitted they have less than 20 million subscribers. But, I don't think they're going to care, and they're going to keep producing things because, if you buy an Apple TV product, it's that much of a perk to keep you, or an Apple product, it keeps you in Apple TV. And obviously all the Emmy nominations that Ted Lasso got, and some of the notable wins that it got are going to help drive Apple TV more, which is sad because one of the more enjoyable shows for me, having been a former gamer, is Mythic Quest on Apple TV Plus. And it just came off of a really great second season where they did a great job of trying to shoot and tell the story amidst the pandemic of everything, and trying to, I don't even know how the hell Ted Lasso did season 2. Given all things, because I'm assuming, based on all the locations and everything, that production is there as well.
I mean, there's certainly certain ways if you watch it where you can tell how it's kind of like possible to bubble it up. So obviously where they're in the football ground, that's only a certain amount of people. So if you've got a bubble there, you can get away with that. There's certain things, if you watch it really closely, you can see how they've worked with the COVID situation. But man, I tell you, the thing for me about Ted Lasso, which I absolutely love, Roy Kent, played by Brett Goldstein. I knew him first of all as a stand-up comedian, which is what he was originally. He then appeared in Derek, which was one of the shows from Ricky Gervais.
Yes.
And he's been in these things here and there. He does his podcast, Films to be Buried With, which had Kevin Smith amongst many others on there. And it's all about if you were to die and you were going to heaven, what movies would you take with you? So what was the first movie you remember seeing? What was the movie which made you happiest? What's the movie that made you sad? It's this kind of thing. It's kind of Desert Island Discs, if you ever heard of that, but for movies. And he's such a sweet, lovely guy. But his voice is actually quite light, and it's like, hi, I'm Brett Goldstein. It's like he's quite a very sensitive, very lovely guy. So when I first saw him do Roy Kent, and he's talking like this, it's like, man, that's great acting, because I just know what a lovely, light guy he is.
I think what I loved was him on one of the late night talk shows. I think it might have been Kimmel, but I can't tell because I just remember him. I don't remember who he was talking to, but I loved his description of it, that, as they were coming to wrapping the writer's room before shooting, there was something about Roy Kent that he thought, and this is the loose quote, was that, I just felt he was growling inside of me. And it's true, because you hear him speaking and telling that story. This is a much lighter, warmer person. And Roy Kent is very gruff, and he is very contained in almost everything he says. So I loved that bit of description, but also having seen the real person versus the character. Yeah, that's some great acting. And I think the Emmy win was very well earned.
Oh, amazing. And the guy's he's so talented. He's a writer as well. He writes on Ted Lasso, as well as Soulmates on Amazon. If you want to check that out, it's a really great show. So it's based in a world where everyone can on an app get their foolproof soulmate, and all the challenges that presents to the world. So you get married couple who suddenly find their soulmate on this app who isn't their partner. And you get other people who travel around the world to find their soulmate, getting sorts of scrape. It's a great series, and each episode standalone. It's really good. He produced on that.
I got really thrown for a second. I'm like, wait, this sounds familiar. But then I realized it very well may have been a send-up of the show, because there was an episode of Rick and Morty where that's how aliens infiltrate a society, is that, they create this app where people get paired up with supposedly their perfect matches, and then, the chaos that ensues through that.
But yeah, just amazing guy. It's just so nice to see someone like that who's so mega talented, but it's like, it's very hard for someone to get recognized in the way he has, and rightly so. He's just so talented, and it's just nice to see it happen for such a deserving, talented writer as well as actor.
Let me ask you another question, Squee, as we're wrapping up here and moving into the last 15 minutes, because my family has been having to deal with a problem that I have. I may as well admit it here. I've admitted it on my show. I may as well make the admission to you as well. I have an addiction. That addiction is apparently in integrating smart technology into the home when nobody asked for it.
Right.
So I'm wondering, in your home, how much do you have that you would consider smart tech, and what is it? Without going too much into detail, like anything you don't want to talk about. Not that I think there's any smart tech, people would think of as their unmentionables, but, just in case, you can feel free to admit that.
No, I've got annoyingly few smart tech things. I want more gadgets and stuff. Like I want a big screen smart TV. I've got an embarrassing normal TV. You've got to plug stuff in to make it go smart. It's very embarrassing. But my problem is the thing which I get told off for is that in our kitchen, we moved into this house in January, and it's a lovely big house. The studio I'm in now it's like a spare room. This is our office come studio for podcasting. I work from home now, so it's wonderful. The only trade-off was it was a bit of a smaller kitchen, and I keep on getting told off by Nicola for getting more and more gadgets for the kitchen. She's like, "We haven't got any gadgets." That coffee bean grinder, as opposed to just getting ground coffee beans already, takes up space we don't have on the counter. That gadget for like steaming rice, like you don't need all 5 devices which can do the same thing in the kitchen. So this shows how middle-aged I've got as well. Like it's like all the tech's going into the kitchen.
I completely get it. We've got a 5-shelf air fryer that was gifted to us though. But I for the longest time I've had a dual layer steamer, so you could do vegetables and rice or fish and rice and all that jazz. And now I've come to realize, well, if I use that, it's like 4 parts to have to wash. But if I just use a pot with a lid and a basket, I could steam the broccoli the same way, and it's less things to clean. So I appreciate that, and I get where you're coming from. No, it's gotten bad in here. Like, for example, there's a lava lamp you can't see up to the left of the corner that's on right now, and I could say, computer, turn off my lava lamp, and it will. Okay. See, so that's off now. And it's gotten to the point where I've gotten so addicted to smart plugs. Well, first of all, I found out that the Home Assistant can tie into the alarm system. So that is tied in there. Not necessary. But smart plugs are the way you really get dangerous. Because, for example, and I can't say this out loud, but I can come in here and I can tell that thing view screen on. And I'm sitting here in front of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got more problems than just smart homes, obviously. But I've got 5 monitors in front of me right now. If I say that, it turns them, whether I ask on or off, they all go on or they all go off. Obviously, it's the Star Trek nerd in me to do that, but it's also the stupidest answer because it's just one smart plug and it's one electric strip. But the whole reason why I did that is because I would never turn these monitors off because I'm too lazy to hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 power switches. And then I discovered that they will recover from power loss by automatically coming on. And I'm like, oh, I can work with this. I do the same thing with the holiday decorations. They're always on a smart plug, so that way it's got an automatic timer. You can tell that thing to turn on the holly jolly. Everything lights up. Some things I don't understand, though. Like my oven, I was trying to be sly. You were talking and I was covering my mouth and I was telling the oven to preheat because I'm cooking dinner after this. Yes, it's only coming up on 7 o'clock here and it's late dinner, I admit it, but it'll cook in 30 minutes, no worries. So I was doing that. And at first I was like, well, why do I need a smart oven? But it came with it, so I didn't argue, and I used it. I preheated the oven on the way to the store knowing what I'm going to cook. I see a benefit there. We just had to replace the refrigerator. It doesn't have a smart display, and I haven't hooked it up, but it's got a smart connection. And if it is solely for me to be able to like change the temperature on the refrigerator, what's the point? I mean, I thought the same thing about washers and dryers, but apparently if we were to get new ones of those, which we're having to shop for right now, if you connect up the smart devices, the washer can tell the dryer the relative size of the load and type of load, so that way it can know it needs to start getting ready. Or, more to the point, if you're running both at once, it'll say, hey, I'm going to be done in 15 minutes. If you're not, maybe you should kick it up a notch. And that's a level of integration I could at least appreciate, but still don't think I need. But man, I'm like in my family room now, it's gotten even worse because I have the Logitech Harmony system and hub. So once you do that, you can go into my family room and say, turn on the big screen, and it'll turn on the TV, the AV receiver in the right order. And now I've made it even worse because for other projects, I bought the Philips Hue lighting, and it's stuff that would work with that HDMI connector you get. So now I've got two Hue lights that project kind of behind the TV, and they go and blend in with the environment. Because I decided if I'm not going to be going to the cinema anytime soon, I was going to bring a better experience home, and I already had these lights, which has really changed the TV game. Like when you see the Marvel opening tag happen and all the different colors that happen, the reds, the orange, the flash of green when Hulk comes on and everything, it's amazing to see. God awful annoying though when you're just trying to get into something and suddenly I have one light behind and it's going off too. So I've kind of gone off the bend, but it's nice to hear that at least your purchasing is a little more sensible. It's just going in that annoying way of convenient cooking devices. And my wife is the same way. She doesn't believe we need half of these items. But when you try and explain, but I need this breakfast sandwich maker because I can make a perfect breakfast sandwich in 5 minutes in it. And it looks like a McDonald's Egg McMuffin or whatever. I can do that right there. This is why I need this. And then she's like, well, where are you going to put it? And I'm like, I don't know. And then she's like, why do you need 8 different ways to make coffee? And then I have to remind her, actually, it's 9, and that doesn't get me into any better water as well.
Yeah, that's not working in your favor. But I said, the thing is, all I'm getting from this is I'm pretty sure when your washing machine starts talking to your dryer, that's the first step to Skynet.
No, that's already sure that's these things sitting here. You see them behind me. That's actually an Amazon Echo right there. I have it triggered to computer because I don't want it doing things when I'm on the show. This is the Google Home. I don't know why I've even got it. I never use it, although there is a digital display one we were gifted that's in the kitchen. And I've got 2 robots back here too. I got problems, man. I'm amazed nobody has scheduled an intervention in my life yet, saying you don't need these things. And no, I don't have a Vector 2.0 pre-ordered and just waiting for it to show up.
You see, my worry is it's not just that you've got a problem. It's the most embarrassing AA kind of meeting. It's like, hi, my name's Will. I kind of like smart tech. It's not the And I nearly killed the family by driving while I was drunk. Like that's a big, huge admission. Like it's like, no, I just buy stuff I don't need really.
Yeah, no, it's like, and this is the reason why I have to look into my 18-year-old's face and explain why we can't pay for college. That's the kind of thing I have to live with. Looking at my youngest now, my 7-year-old, saying, yeah, I hope you're good at saving money now because, we're pointless for your future. But Dad's got almost 3 robots now and 2 3D printers. But let's not get into it. Have you?
It's when you're in prison. It's like, what are you in for? I killed 5 men just because one of them looked at me a bit funny. What are you in for? Tax fraud. It just doesn't pack the same punch as
No, it doesn't. What are you in for? Well, overextended. Got another 3D printer because I couldn't quite print an entire Mjolnir hammer, Thor's hammer in one print. That's what I needed to go for. Man.
Yeah.
I got problems. Yeah. But, there are some things, too, that, like, for me, just technologically speaking, I understand why I do them because they seem to benefit what I do. For example, getting a new digital DLR camera in order to, for this. You don't get the good camera. My stream gets the good camera, but that's just because I wasn't going to rewire the studio for this. No offense, sir.
No problem.
But, at the same time, I'm a 50-year-old guy that is broadcasting content for a podcast that generally goes out for free. So did you really need the camera? Thank goodness I've got my Patreon supporters to at least fund those things. Now I just need to figure out a way to get a big enough Patreon following to where I'm not spending that money for the studio and I can pay for the kids' college, I guess is where I'm going with that. What about you, though? I mean, you've been in the home. I just prefer to think of it as home broadcasting now, because one way, shape, or form, you're sending some stuff out. How have you, in the 1.5 minutes we got to wrap this up, before we once again remind everyone the good cause and move on to the next subject, how have you how have you walked that fine line between, oh, I really want a good setup, and I've got to live. What do you do there?
I mean, to be honest with you, the one real extravagance I've got is the new base unit I've got for my computer. So previously I was always on laptops, served me very well, but I was very aware I was always hopping from like the next computer that would do to the next. Like, I just wear one out until it's kind of out of shelf life. And I decided just really spend some money on the base unit. And I was like, okay, Nicola, look, I'm going to justify this. Like, I could either buy one for 300 quid, which would do for a few years, and then we'd have to do it again. Or I could spend like $1,000 on a computer and we don't have to worry for a while. The credit card might melt a little bit in the meantime, but other than that, we're all smooth sailing. Like, I just got promotion at work. Please. Just go, yeah, okay, fine, just do it. Just shut up. As long as I don't have to talk to you about it, it's all good. So that's my kind of main thing. The only thing I really want now, I've wanted this for quite a while, is I've got an H1 handy mic, which is very nice bit of kit. It's very great at doing home recording and taking it to events. Now I'm kind of working more of a video setup to take with me at events, but that's another story. I've always wanted the kind of most up-to-date handy mic. I think it goes up to H6 at the moment. H7 must be on its way, and I just want one of those because you can use that to plug in other microphones to your microphone, and that seems like wizardry to me. So I'm not like the biggest tech head for kind of stuff like that, or net head, if you will, just to tie it all in. But yeah, I when I can afford it, I do like a good gadget. And I'm actually I think the only reason why I'm tempted to get promoted at work is just to buy more junk that I don't need and still pay for, like, I'm now engaged to Nicola. So it's like we're saving up for a wedding, and there's no way I can excuse any tech purchases unless I get promotion. I think I solely want to be promoted so I can waste money on tech.
That's I fully endorse and support that. So if she doesn't, just ring up your buddy Will. I'll help you make you feel better. Anyway, for all of you that are Netheads listeners, thank you very much for tuning in for this special episode, for listening to the podcast. Remember, go to drsquee.com anytime after you hear this. DOCTORSQUEE.com. To go ahead and donate to Phoenix Rehoming, getting dogs their forever homes, and obviously a very worthwhile cause all the time, but especially now that we're hopefully coming out of these pandemic times, and dogs need homes, folks. So please provide your support. Any last words for you, sir, before you boot me out the door?
Only that we've had another donation, so I get to ring the little donation bell. Who says I don't have top flight tech here? We're up to now £515 of an original target of £500. It's absolutely astounding, guys. Thank you so much. I'm hoping to get up to at least 550 by the end of the event, which by now is quite a modest feat, hopefully. If needs be, I could probably top it up by now if it comes to it by the end. But please do donate, because I'll donate some at the end anyway. And it would be wonderful to beat last year's total was, I think, £542. We just want to beat that and do the best to save more dogs like our beloved Benton.
Well, hopefully that the last £10 that came in weren't, saying donating this so you get that yank off the air. I hope that wasn't what happened.
No, that no requests were given to yank the yank.
Yay! Well, I bet you for £100.
Hey, Will, sir, it is always a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking part in these events. It's always just such fun to catch up with you.
My pleasure, sir, and have a fantastic one as well. Thanks for having me.
Take care, my friend. Speak soon.
Be well.
That was the ever delightful Will Wilkins. We are going to welcome on the equally lovely Jay Semko, but I'm going to actually play the Due South by Southeast theme tune just to get us in that wonderful Due South.